Hello guys, welcome to Soul Surgery. Thanks for watching this week. This week's video I want to talk about feelings. Feeling emotion, feeling our feelings. Now, this may sound like either a really simple topic or a really difficult one, but it's a really important one because most of us do not feel our feelings. Most of us are thinking our feelings. Most of us are thinking about our feelings and thinking about what we need to do about our feelings and thinking about how to fix or get rid of our feelings, which all happens from the head. But we're not really feeling and being with the emotion. So in this video, I want to talk about, firstly, what is emotion? What kind of relationship do we have to emotion? How can we change and transform our relationship to our emotions so that they're not robbing us from our power or shutting us down from being connected and engaged in life? How can we express our emotion in a healthy, empowered, fulfilling way? I'm going to talk about the different emotions, how each emotion has a purpose to serve us if we want to work with them in partnership. And lastly, how can we welcome them without judgment, without trying to fix it, change it, being conditional? How can we unconditionally welcome and be with what is? So, firstly, if you are a human being, you will experience emotions. It is part of being a human being. It is part of being here on this earth with a body. And if you think that you shouldn't have emotions, then that is an illusion, because you are human. And I'm assuming that everybody watching this video is a human being, which is a worthy assumption to make. If you are human, you have emotions. It is part of being human being. The emotions themselves are not the problem. What creates the problems for us are our relationship to the emotions and our identification with the emotions. We don't think of it like I have sadness inside of me. We think I am sad, as if we are the emotion. And that is where we really start losing our power, number one. We are not our emotions, even though we feel them. But most of us are identifying with them all the time. When we feel sad, we think it is something to do with us and we're doing something wrong. When we feel anger, we think we are angry people. We think that it is something about us that is wrong or off kilter or bad. When we feel grief, we think we are the grief. But we are not our emotions. We are feeling our emotions. We have emotion, but we are not emotion. In Eastern philosophy, in Oriental medicine, also in Ayurveda, in lots of Eastern traditions, emotion is energy. It's energy, and it is energy that moves through the body and is in the body. But it is not who we are. Emotion is energy that is in the body, and it needs to move, just like a stream needs to flow, just like energy needs to flow. It needs to move. And when it's in alignment and when it's in flow, the emotion comes, it moves through the body, and then it moves out in expression, and then it's released. But most of the time, when we're not feeling our emotion, the energy is in the body, but then it doesn't move and it gets stuck in the body. And this is why we get triggered. This is why things don't get healed. This is why wounds or experiences don't get resolved. Because when they happen the first time round, if someone hurt us or someone abandoned us or we lost someone that we loved and we didn't fully allow ourselves to feel the emotion, the grief, the anger, the sadness, it gets stuck in the body and it stays there until something comes along to trigger it, and then we have that big rush of emotion again. So it is with great intention to our healing and our evolvement to allow the emotion to move through us, to learn how to allow emotion to move through us, to feel it. Feeling is an active word. It's not stagnant. Feeling is movement. We are feeling it in movement. It is not stuck. And that's a really important point, because I think most of you think that if I am going to feel this emotion, I'm going to feel it for the rest of my life. If I really dare to feel this anger, or if I feel this sadness, I'm going to be feeling it forever. But no, it's moving. Feeling is allowing it to move. Now, if it's been stuck for a long time and we've been suppressing anger or sadness or grief for a long time, it may be that we need to feel it a lot. It may be that we need to feel it over a period of time, and it may feel like it's lasting forever, but they do pass. They're not stuck, fixed, stagnant, solid things. They are moving energy. And so that is a really important thing to remember. If I'm going to be with my sadness today, if I'm going to allow myself to feel my anger, I can trust that it too shall pass. This will not stay like this forever. The second really important thing to learn and to realize is that it is inside of us, but it is not us. It's an experience in us. We are not in the experience. And what I mean by that is that it is in us. We are not overtaken. We don't need to be overtaken by it. It's moving through us, within us, but we do not need to be engulfed in it. And I think most of the time when we really lose our power and give our power away and we become disempowered to emotions, it's when we have this identification that we are lost in the emotion rather than it being in us. It's a really subtle difference in perception, but one perceives that we are lost and overcome, and the other one is that we are holding space for the emotion. One is empowering, the other one is lostness. So no matter how big it feels, it is in us, we are not in it. Really important. In macrobiotics and in Chinese medicine, each emotion has a different energy. And each emotion has a different purpose to allow a different kind of energy flow to move through us, to allow healing to occur, to allow transformation to occur. So, we can have a different relationship to each emotion. And the first part of the relationship is to see the emotion as something that can bring healing for us if we allow it to flow, rather than something that we need to get the hell away from as quickly as possible. What we resist persists, I'm afraid. We run away from it, we're going to have to face it at some point, or maybe not. If we run away from it and continue to run away from it, it will eventually show itself in some way. Maybe it will show itself in physical health issues or symptoms. Maybe it will show itself by snapping out in passive ways in our life. It'll find a way to come out because it's energy moving and it needs to move. It's like a dam of water. Eventually the water will need to seep through. So each emotion has a different quality to it and a different purpose. Sadness has kind of like a watery energy to it, which is no coincidence that it brings on tears. It's a form of letting go. It's a form of purification. If we allow sadness to move when it comes, it creates like a softening effect. It allows a release to take place. It softens hardness. It softens protection. It softens rigidness. Have you ever noticed that after you've had a really big cry, you feel almost liberated afterwards and softer and more open? Well, that's not a coincidence. Sadness has a watery quality about it, so I always sort of imagine it as if it washes away the hard edges. And we really allow sadness to flow like it wants to flow in its watery lyrical energy. It creates an opening of the heart. When we allow our tears to come, we allow our heart to open in that process. You noticed how more loving you can feel after you've had a cry? Maybe it's with yourself or someone else. That's why. Anger has a really fiery, powerful energy to it that wants to create change, that wants to create action, that wants to create movement. So, normally anger comes up when either there has been a need that either a need has not been met or a boundary has not been put down. I'm going to talk about boundaries in another video. So anger has a purpose to it. Anger has a kind of enlivening, fiery, awakening energy that's calling us to speak, that's calling us to take action so that we can create change, so we can create movement. If we use and we work with anger in a healthy, alive, empowered way, we can use our anger to create real change. No, I will not stand for this anymore in my life. I will not put up with this kind of behavior. This is a boundary I will now make a stand for. I will take that action now and make these changes. Anger creates change if we allow it. It has such a powerful, empowering, enlivening, fiery, passionate energy to it. And when worked with and felt in a healthy way, it's very empowering. It wakes us up. I mean, you can even hear from me speaking, it's kind of bringing a lot of aliveness to my speech. Now, the problem is that when we suppress anger, because so much of society today has taught us that anger is wrong, it is bad, it is dirty, it is ugly. We shouldn't feel it, particularly as women. Or particularly for men too. When men feel your anger, it's dangerous, it's violent, it's aggressive. I mean, suppressed anger that then comes out, it comes out violent and aggressive. But when anger is allowed and given permission and welcomed and honored and respected and felt, it is powerful and empowering. When it's suppressed, it has such a powerful energy to it that it creates such a level of stuckness in the body. That's why we start feeling stuck in our life. That's why we start to feel really tired. It can really drain us of energy when we have a lot of stuck anger, when we haven't been speaking our truth, saying what we really feel, putting boundaries down, saying no when we wanted to say no. When we swallow all of that powerful energy, it's draining on our life force. So anger is not something to be judged. It is something to be welcomed and respected, but worked with in a healthy, honorable way. Grief is such a powerful energy of release and letting go. You know, we have to let things die in order to let new beginnings happen. But we do not get taught to grieve in modern living. You know, in Asian cultures, you know, grief is a welcomed act. But in modern living, it's like grief is just way too much. It's way too messy. It's way too raw and vulnerable. Shut it down, push it away. If we don't allow ourselves to grieve the endings in our life, we are not letting things go. Grief creates letting go. And if we don't let things go, we carry them forever. And we can never really create new beginnings. Fear. Fear is an emotion that we are all terrified of. And, you know, we hear a lot, particularly in like motivational speaking and a lot of in the coaching industry, you know, we should be fearless. We should be fearless. But I'm not sure I agree with that. I think fear is a really important part of life. I think fear is something that shows up whenever we are moving out of our comfort zone, whenever we are creating change, whenever we are growing, challenging ourselves, on the edge of what we know, going into the unknown. And these are all great things. Fear is what shows up when something has the possibility to change. And so instead of expecting ourselves to be fearless, we could change our relationship to fear and learn how to have fear move through us without giving it all our power. Every single time I have taken the risk to launch a new project like soul surgery, or try something new out, or to fall in love, or to move house, or done anything new in my life, I have felt fear. But it doesn't need to stop us from doing it. Fear is not a sign that we should stop and not move forward. Fear is a sign that something is changing and we are moving out of what we know. And when we move out of what we know, we move into the unknown, and that is where all possibility lies. So learning how to have fear move through us. Emotions are not these terrible things that we should be rid of, that we should squash down, that we should get rid of, that we should hide from, run from. To feel is to be alive. Without feeling, we rob ourselves of connection, intimacy, being engaged and awake. Have the courage to feel your feelings. They are inside of you and they want to move. and they are not you. And then of course there's joy. And joy is what comes. So here's the interesting part. We're all trying so hard to be happy, but we're kind of bypassing all the other emotions to get there, which doesn't create happiness at all. It creates an emptiness and a disconnect. What creates real joy is being present with what is. Because in that moment we can experience real connection, being in the flow, being connected to our truth. That is what creates joy. And so joy is the gift on the other side of feeling our feelings. Ways that I help to connect to my emotions, journaling, really helps me. When I sit down and I take the time to journal, sometimes I'll write at the top of the journal, what am I feeling right now? And then I'll let whatever comes come, and I'll write it out on the page. I'll just write everything down, even if it doesn't make any sense. Sitting and breathing and just being with for 5-10 minutes, being with myself. What am I feeling right now? What's moving through my body? What is the experience of it? Where is it in my body? Sharing with someone else that's safe and that we trust and we love. Talking about what we're feeling really helps us to access what's really there. Hey, Pango. Being able to share it in partnership and community so that we're not alone with it. And sometimes I talk to the emotion. I know that you're there. I welcome you. Everything that is showing up is welcomed. So I have some meditations on soul surgery that you can look back on that are all really helpful for helping you stay connected to the present moment and to start feeling what moves through your body. So I hope you find this one useful. To feel your feelings is to be alive. They are the gateway to human connection, to intimacy, to truth, to love. To feel is to be alive and to be awake and to be engaged. But remember, your emotions are in you, but they are not you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.